Hey everybody, welcome to Happy Hour live on Brew Sports. It is the best time of the day to talk about sports, but also to relax and just take a load off. It's a long day. It's a busy week. I mean, there's been a lot going on, honestly, and sometimes you just need to grab a cold one and just relax with your best friend. That's why I've got my best friend, Grant, here. We're just hanging out. We don't have any cold ones, but I guess probably we could walk off the set and go grab one. I mean, we do have beer in the fridge.
We have the technology.
Would you like a beer? I can go get you a beer.
I mean, if you're offering,
I never mind grabbing beers, Grant.
It is happy hour, and it is
happy hour, and it is,
for.
and to make matters even worse, Grant, today is National Beer Day as well. And here we are.
What are we doing?
On a network called Brew Sports without beer.
I think we dropped the ball.
Some intern somewhere is going to get fired, honestly. I'm going to go get a beer.
Okay.
You should go talk to the fans because they love you.
The fans?
The fans out there, they love you. Talk to the fans. Hi. You're wearing a Cardinals jersey, so I think first and foremost, the fans need to hear about the controversy with Yadier Molina.
Hey, I don't really know what's going on about that. It's not. I don't know if he put stickum on it or something. My guess was it's something to do with pine tar from a bat. It could have got stuck on his pads. But the funniest thing for me was I can't remember exactly who it was, but it was a Cardinals player, and it was all over the internet. He got hit 3 separate times going around the bases, twice in either elbow, and then sliding into home to score a run in the head. And people have dubbed over viral videos that have gone viral in the past of him getting hit in the head. It's really good. Go check it out if you haven't done so yet. Also, since Baxter is here, I just want to point out to everybody that last week...
Hi, Grant. How's it going?
Oh, it's going good.
Good. Thanks for having me on today.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for coming. I did call that the Cardinals would go 1-2 in the series, and that's what happened. That's what happened. That's what happened.
You did. You made that point. I grabbed 2 random beers. We're very low on our stock, so I really have no idea what I grabbed. Something called Fuel Cafe. It's a stout brewed with coffee, so I'm sure it's going to be delicious. And you've got something called a Chocolate Lab.
I'm drinking a dog, apparently.
And I'm drinking coffee, which is also in a beer bottle. So cheers. I don't know what's about to happen, but I wish you the best of luck.
Yes.
Let's see what happens. I mean, it's coffee with a hint of alcohol is really what it comes down to. Kind of like Kahlua, but only better, maybe. I mean, it's not bad. I'm not mad about it.
Oh, no.
I'll take a couple of sips. How's your dog taste?
The dog tastes pretty good.
That's good. Need some dog. They bottled our dog, and we're drinking it.
Yeah. But beer is beer, and I think we're ready to officially start the show now.
I think so. So I mean, we should bring it all the way back here. So it is happy hour. I'm Baxter. That's Grant. We're excited to have you along with the show today. Justin Bradford's going to be here in a little while to talk about the NHL playoff race. The season finishes up tomorrow, Grant. Kind of crazy to think about, honestly, that the 82-game regular season of NHL is coming to a close, winding down, shutting the shop up, going away. They're going to the playoffs, but I mean, it's not. I mean. Everybody else, though, that didn't make the playoffs is shutting it down. I
mean, but the NHL playoffs, it just is so weird because it goes so late. I believe the end of it goes into the beginning of June is until the NHL officially ends, or excuse me, beginning of May. So we still have a month of hockey still to go, even though the regular season's done. That's kind of weird to think. And it's a little bit different than football because football, it goes another month.
Right.
Or month and a half.
About that, yeah.
Yeah, about a month and a half after the season. But they only have games on the weekends. NHL, it's consistent. You have games pretty much every day or every other day.
Every day.
So that's, if you've never started watching hockey and you've always wanted to, I would definitely give it a look. But we'll talk about the NHL in a little bit. In a little bit. We'll get there.
David's referencing the beer that I have in front of me here. He says, "Yay, Fuel Cafe, a historic place in the River West neighborhood," and I'm not surprised that it's their beer tasting coffee-ish. Yeah, and Aaron also says, Baxter trying his first lakefront brewery beer hall, Fuel Cafe, 5th Street. Wow, that's a lot going on. Smiley face. Absolutely, yes. I'm not saying I don't like it, but I'm not saying that I would, I mean, would I take it on a second date? Sure, but I mean, I don't know how serious I'm going to get after that. That's the real thing. But it's not terrible. I mean, it's got coffee, which is what I love.
Well, and you're also more of a wine guy yourself, so I mean, beer's not really.
I wonder if I drank my beer in a wine glass, if I would enjoy it more.
There you go.
I wonder if that would make it better.
Or just beer flavored wine.
Oh,
there you
go.
You're welcome.
Oh my! Now you're just getting into all kinds of territory here, Grant.
That's a true Wisconsinite thinking right there.
It is. Oh, I'm drinking wine, but it's beer flavored. It's Miller wine, basically.
And then on a little toothpick, you put a little cheese and olives in there.
You got to still be. I am a classy. I'm a classy lady if I need to be. I'm not going to just be all. Don't worry about it. Anyway, so right off the bat, a couple of big things. Speaking of big, exciting fuel. Big Ben has announced this afternoon, Ben Roethlisberger, that he is coming back for his 14th NFL season. I, number one, didn't realize he's been around for that long.
Yeah,
that blows my mind.
Well, and actually, like, looking back on it, he's had a lot happen to him, and it's kind of sneaking up on us that he's getting close to the end of his career. At least with me, I grew up with Big Ben being in Pittsburgh pretty much from when I started watching football, but looking back, he's been through a lot of injuries.
Remember the motorcycle accident?
I don't even remember.
Yeah, he was in a big motorcycle accident. I think a couple of has it been almost over a decade now or something like that since that took place? I don't remember how long ago it was, but I remember that was a big news story for a long time, that he and his girlfriend or the girl at the time were on the back in this motorcycle and got in a big accident.
Well, yeah, and then he had all those legal allegations, all that stuff happened, and
that got nasty.
Yeah, so he's been around for a while, but I'm honestly not surprised, and it's kind of now starting to become a trend where quarterbacks play a little longer. You look at Brett Favre; he had 16 seasons, or was it 16 seasons with the Packers?
16 with the Packers.
Okay, so it was about 20 seasons he played, and now Tom Brady just coming out saying that he's ready for a good 5 or 6 more seasons. I don't know if Ben's going to play that long because he's pretty much a rickety old Shaq by this point.
A rickety old Shaq. He's a sturdy man, though. He's 6'5", 240.
They don't call him Big Ben for
There's
nothing.
a lot into that man. Yeah, Aaron says he remembers the raping, unfortunately, all those allegations that took place for a long time. I'm looking at Big Ben stats right now. 123 wins to 60 losses in his career. That's not a bad overall, honestly, considering he's played 185 games. Almost 47,000 yards. He's thrown over 300 touchdowns, only 160 interceptions. This guy's a Hall of Famer. He's got a 2-time Super Bowl champion. People say Pro Bowls don't matter, but he's been voted to 5 Pro Bowls as well, too.
Well, it shows that people recognize your skill and talent.
Right, exactly. So that's why I think that, on paper and even on the field, this man is a surefire Hall of Fame. He came out of Miami of Ohio. How many quarterbacks did you know that come out of Miami of Ohio that are actually a good player?
And I think the Steelers obviously really appreciate that he will still stick around, but even more the fact that who do they really have that's going to back him up? So it gives him... At least I'm thankful for Ben coming up to the Pittsburgh organization because they tried out Michael Vick there for a while. That really didn't work out. And their other backup, I believe, got injured recently again or didn't play well. So they haven't had a lot of success with their backup quarterbacks. And, it's always good to see those big star players stay in as long as possible. And we just lost a good quarterback in Peyton Manning to retirement. So it breaks my heart to lose another one.
I'm just trying to think of a world where, it was already hard enough to think of a world without Peyton Manning, let alone now trying to think of a world that, granted we still have to wait another 5 to 6 years without Tom Brady, an NFL without Eli Manning, an NFL without Ben Roethlisberger, Aaron Rodgers when that day rolls around as well too. But
I don't want to think about that.
Can you think of who are these next guys though? Is it the Dak Prescotts, the Andrew Lucks of the world? Cam Newton is. Matt Ryan is still fairly-ish young. But Marcus Mariota is not going to be one of these guys we're singing praises of. Maybe he might be. He's still very young.
I think he could. He's early in his career, and he's doing things in the Titans organization. They finished around 500 this year, or maybe a little bit under, but it's been better than what they have in the past. So maybe eventually he can get up to that point. But then, and you mentioned Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's he's further along in his career.
He's not a spring chicken
that people think. That was actually one of the big talks leading up to the Super Bowl, that he's actually closer to the end of his career than he is at the beginning of his career.
That's why it's so vital for him to win a Super Bowl in so many people's minds.
And I've never even realized that because he looks really young, and like you said, he hasn't made that really big playoff impact. So if he wants to build a good Hall of Fame resume and be put in the talk for being one of the greats, he's got to make it up there, because you look at a great quarterback, like we haven't even brought him up, Joe Flacco. Why does nobody talk about Joe Flacco? He's a great quarterback. He's just constantly with the Baltimore Ravens in a struggling organization.
That is a very valid point. Joe Flacco is one of those quarterbacks that you forget about has a Super Bowl ring.
Right, and you would never think of that.
No, if I lined up 5 guys and said, all right, one of these guys is a Super Bowl winner, who is it? Pretty sure Joe Flacco. To the average Joe, wouldn't be like, oh, yeah, that guy, Joe Flacco,
Oh,
Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, great guy.
Good old Joe.
Not many people are doing that. That's the honest truth about it, Grant. But, yeah, so Big Ben coming back means a lot for the Steelers organization. Hopefully they can go back and shore up their defense as well, too. That will certainly play a huge part in any possible success they might have in this upcoming season, because as many folks know, it's great to have the best offense in the world, but if you don't have a defense to slow down Tom Brady in the AFC Championship game, doesn't mean a thing.
Yeah.
It just doesn't.
For you Wisconsin listeners, you definitely know, for all you Packer fans, you definitely know how that boat
The best
works.
offense is the worst defense at times,
Yeah, pretty
honestly.
much.
Oh, my Lord. All right, let's get to Justin Bradford here, get this party really started. We've got our beers. Once again, I've got my Fuel Cafe here, brought to you by Lakefront Brewery. Who do you got here? This is the black.
Wisconsin Brewing Company, a chocolate lab porter.
Does it taste like chocolate in a bottle? Like, what do you... I really am curious to know what this chocolate
really
lab...
tastes like chocolate. It tastes like a beer. That's really all.
What does a beer taste like, though, Grant?
I don't
What
know.
is beer? Switch it around. Make your palate, like... You need a little spit cup, you got to properly
there you go.
hold your finger up as you do it.
Swirl it around a
Yeah.
little bit.
Well, what are the notes? What notes do you feel?
La la la. I felt that one in there. I think
That
they
was-
put a little bit of that.
A little bit of a
little
C flat major
Yeah.
in there or something.
Don't talk about
Is that an
C-flat
actual
major.
thing? Is that
yeah,
an actual
C-flat
thing?
major's
C-flat
a-
major is a real thing.
No, let's see.
I
I'm
don't know.
not going to get into it.
Okay. Well, you think about what your beer actually tastes like. We'll get to Justin Bradford. Justin Bradford, one of the many great correspondents we've got here on the Brew Sports Network. Joining us to talk about the NHL playoffs and all the great stuff that comes along with that. Justin, a very good Friday to you. The week is in the bag, basically. You can probably relax a little bit. We're relaxing. We got some beers here. I'm drinking some coffee, something beer here. It's enjoyable. It really is. But welcome to Happy Hour, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. My drink of choice right now is the Kroger Purified Water.
Wonderful choice.
Nice hint of nothing because it's water and it shouldn't taste like anything.
It's vodka. Don't lie to us, Justin. We know what you're actually playing here right now with us.
Excuse me. Sorry.
a little strong.
A little too strong.
Little Tito's vodka or something there inside that one. But all right, Justin. Well, the NHL playoffs are just about here. Of course, the main storyline centered around the big teams, of course, with Chicago and Washington and the surprise Columbus Blue Jackets this season as well, too. But I want to talk about something that's kind of near and dear to Grant's heart. It's the St. Louis Blues, and they've been absolutely just screwed the last couple of years having to play Chicago in the first round. But I want to know, Chicago, at least from all those things that I've seen and heard this year, is not as scary as they used to be, at least over the last 2 or 3 seasons, from some of the things I've been reading and just kind of following throughout the last month or two. But is Chicago still that scary team that you don't want to face in the first round or even the Stanley Cup for that matter?
The funny thing with Chicago is the past 2 seasons I've been saying they're finally going to regress. They have to trade away their talent. They can't keep guys because of salary cap issues. They have Taves and Kane locked up in these contracts that are just, strangling the rest of the team. And then they find a way to do it. I thought that this was one of the years that we're probably going to see Chicago as third in the division or maybe even a wild card one. But lo and behold, they went and won the West again. It's one of those things, Chicago, they just know how to win. And until you get to that point to where you know how to win, it's hard to take them off the top right there. So even in the playoffs, when you look at the regular season being over 50 wins already going right now, and obviously taking hold of Minnesota and surpassing them because Minnesota went on the full-on tank job late. Chicago, they're still one of those scary teams because they have the right weapons and they have the veteran leadership that knows how to win in certain situations. And I'll go back to 2 seasons ago where the Nashville Predators kind of had Chicago on the run. They chased Corey Crawford out of the net. Scott Darling had to come in, and you're thinking, well, when you chase the starting goaltender out and you have to bring in your backup to finish the series, that should go in favor of the team that chased the goalie out. Not so fast. That's not what happened, and Chicago found a way to win, and they ended up winning the series in 6 games. And so it just shows right there that they have the right kind of depth, which makes them extremely scary in the playoffs because they just take it to another level. They know how to turn on their engines and just roll right through, and you don't want to face them. So whoever has to face Chicago, which we still do not know yet because the West still has not figured out a bunch of the seeds, then you're not going to stand much of a chance no matter who you are.
Now, Justin, all of your thoughts that you were were saying earlier, as I thought exactly too. Like I was thinking that they're going to have to trade away some talent, they're going to digress, but
it won't last. It won't last.
But that's not the case, and they're just always a team to be reckoned with in the Central Division. Now, turning over to the Eastern Conference, you got a big couple of names. Finally, you have the Canadian teams back in the playoffs. If you remember, the big talk, and a lot of people liked that. It was the first time in a very long time that no Canadian teams made it to the playoffs. Now you have Montreal and Ottawa, just to name a few. But you always have the big two that everybody wants to talk about. You have the Washington Capitals that just recently locked up the President's Trophy, and the Pittsburgh Penguins. And now, of course, you have Penguins being the backing up the championship now this year. Who do you think, and just focusing on the Metropolitan Division, who do you think has the best chance of representing their team in the Stanley Cup final?
I mean, it's got to be Washington right now, just because they have all the experience of at least getting and making a run there. The thing with Pittsburgh is Chris Letang being out. A lot of injury problems for Pittsburgh. And granted, it hasn't hurt them that much, but in the playoffs, when everybody starts getting beat up and hit and tired, and nowhere near as hard as the West when it comes to travel, but still the playoffs, it's a whole other level, and it could take its toll on Pittsburgh. So it's Washington's to lose right now. It really is, just because they have the offensive talent, the defensive talent. I mean, hell, they're playing Kevin Shattenkirk sometimes on a third pairing, who was a first pairing guy for St. Louis a lot of times. So when you have that kind of depth, it's Washington's to lose. Is it one of those things they could still just completely blow in the playoffs? Absolutely. That's what the Washington Capitals are known for doing. But the way that they're stacked right now, it's theirs to lose. Columbus, I don't think, has experience. The big thing for Columbus right now is just at least win a couple games in the playoffs, because they don't have much experience even winning games in the playoffs. So that's really going to be the test for them, is what can they do now that they've made it this far and made it into the playoffs, and they're number 3 right now in the division. Can they take advantage of that and not being a wild card, and take advantage of actually having a divisional seed? So again, it's Washington's to lose. Pittsburgh is going to be really tough, just with the injuries they have right now, especially some really big injuries. But as we all see, they have the offensive strength when you have Genny Malkin and Sidney Crosby out there, especially with what happened, I believe it was last night, with that tic-tac-toe passing of a goal.
Well, Justin, let's be honest. Nobody cares about the 1 seeds. Everybody wants to know who the Cinderellas are. Will there be an upset somewhere as well, too? I mean, I'm looking at the standings right now. You got Boston hanging on there towards the end of the division. You got Calgary, Nashville, even San Jose, for gosh sakes. I mean, in Ottawa as well, too. I mean, can we write these teams off? Can we just not even bother talking about them? Can we just take a sip and say move on to the next segment? Or is there any sort of validity to thinking that these teams might pull a surprise and wow the NHL world?
Well, especially in the NHL, when it gets to the Stanley Cup playoffs, anything can happen. Now, there's some times where you already know which team's going to win, but especially this year, as we've seen the East kind of take control, a lot of things could happen in the East. Boston's been playing very good hockey near the end of the season. They're also a rough and tumble kind of team, as we've already seen with the Brad Marchand being suspended for 2 games, which is obviously not enough for the type of crap that he's doing to other players out there. But that's the style of hockey that Boston plays. That's really tough to play against in the playoffs. So they're one of those teams that could be scary, being a 3 seed right now, but that could still change. In the West, Nashville, granted I'm based in Nashville, but it's one of those things that Nashville, they have the type of weapons and skill that if they do play consistent hockey, they could make a run. They have that. They have PK Subban, Roman Josi, Ryan Johansson, Philip Forsberg, Victor Arvidsson. They have 2 30-goal scorers on the team there. And so when you have that type of offensive power, it really could take them to the next level, as long as Pecorine and Net can stop the right kind of pucks that are being shot. There's a lot of question marks, but there's certain teams like Nashville that has the talent and the skill. It's just, can they play a consistent brand of hockey? And that's what you need in the playoffs, obviously, to make a run. So I think those are the 2 teams that could make a splash if they play the right kind of hockey and try to take off those higher seeds.
Now, Justin, kind of looking away from the playoffs, going back over to the Western Conference, looking at Edmonton, what they have done with their team, it's just been the talk of the league, all these first-round draft picks, and not really doing anything with them. And now this year, they're getting rid of Taylor Hall, and now all of a sudden, they have Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and the Golden Boy that I'm not going to talk about, because don't talk about him.
Conor McDavid. Not Conor McGregor.
No,
Conor
McDavid.
Conor McDavid.
Yes.
Is that Conor McGregor's music?
Yes. No wonder he's so strong.
They have Connor McDavid, who, to much of my chagrin, played very well this year and has lived up to the hype. And now Edmonton Oilers are sitting second in the Pacific Division. What did that team do to finally just break out of the constant losing streak and even throwing away some great careers and finally getting to the playoffs? And to follow that up, how do you think they're going to do in the playoffs?
Well, first off, they sucked enough at the right time to suck to draft David. And I mean, that's a joke, but it's also absolutely true, because you think about it, and if you suck at the right time to get generational talents like Sidney Crosby, Pittsburgh Penguins, they go and win a cup. Right, sucking at the right time. Chicago Blackhawks, sucking at the right time to get Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane. It just that's sometimes what happens, the luck of the draw of being an absolutely horrible hockey team and hopefully making the right moves around that. So they get Connor McDavid, a generational talent for being horrible at the absolutely right time, and he changed everything. He's the kind of guy that he makes defenders miss. He splits the defenders, and I got to see him in junior hockey and what he was able to pull up in juniors. You could see he was NHL ready as soon as he was of age. And a one player can change things. But another thing that's also helped is Cam Talbot in net for Edmonton. He's a product of the University of Alabama in Huntsville. Yes, Division I hockey in Huntsville, Alabama is where he played his college hockey. And so it's really good to see him having a lot of success in net there. So having some stability in net's always been a question for Edmonton here lately as well. They're another one of those teams that they have the right talent, but they don't have a lot of experience. So that's the kind of team that if they can get past the first round, watch out. The first round is going to be the most difficult for them because they have zero playoff experience when it really comes to the team itself. But if they get that confidence in winning one round and you get a guy like Connor McDavid going, they could absolutely make a run just because of the pure talent on that team with Connor McDavid leading them.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what it comes down to, honestly. I mean, you got guys like Connor McDavid, and then I'm spacing on the guy that Buffalo has, Patrick. Yes, thank you. Jack Eichel as well, too. I mean, you're seeing this burst of young energy in the NHL, and it's starting to become more exciting again. Nothing against the old guard, but we are getting towards this time of sports as a whole where the rookies and the younger players are just stronger, they're faster, they're more technical, and the old guard is kind of falling away as well, too. And I think guys like Connor McDavid and Patrick Eichel and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and all these other guys that have hyphenated last names are certainly going to help take over the league, honestly. That's certainly a good point, though, to look towards a lot of that coming forward.
And you also have Austin Matthews, who is
about Austin Matthews,
who is a fantastic youth, young talent in the league right now. So yeah, you're right, Baxter. There is a lot of young talent in the league right now that it, like Justin, you said, it kind of is good to suck at the right time to get those kind of generational talents in, because it's kind of one of those diamonds that are really hard to find, and you have to get the first round draft pick to get those kind of guys. Absolutely.
And you look at other young guys too, Patrick Laine up in Winnipeg, what he's been able to accomplish up there, and then also Mitch Marner, not to be overlooked in Toronto as well. So, and then William Nylander. So Toronto has three really good young players that they're going to be able to build around. And I've said it multiple times to lots of people here, but Toronto is the next Chicago Blackhawks. Just wait, they're going to have 2 cups in the next decade. Mark my words.
That's some words right there, Grant.
I wouldn't be surprised, though. Like Justin said, they do have the talent. They have a lot of young talent to work with.
That is very true. All right, Justin, we got to let you run, but we appreciate you swinging by here on Happy Hour. Here's cheers to you. We hope your water or vodka or whatever you're drinking tastes phenomenal. We miss you here, of course, at the Happy Hour set, but we'll talk to you soon, sir. We appreciate it. Where can people also find you on social media as well?
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. At Justin B. Bradford everywhere. Got that personal brand going.
Love it. Represent. All right, Justin, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much, sir.
Thanks, guys.
All right, there goes Justin Bradford here on Happy Hour. One other quick thing here for us, Grant, that I want to get at you for. When you talk about franchises that are exceeding, you talk about the destinations. Guys want to go play in Chicago. Guys want to go play in Toronto. Guys want to go play for Washington. But according to a new poll that ESPN did, people think that Winnipeg sucks. Like bad. Like nobody wants to go play in Winnipeg. ESPN ran this poll according to ProHockeyRumors.com, and they asked 9 players' agents on every single NHL team their least desirable market they would like to go play for, the least attractive destination. And in first place finished the Winnipeg Jets, second was the Edmonton Oilers, and third was the New York Islanders. Winnipeg is a village in the middle of an abyss that is Canada, basically. I mean, I totally understand the reason why nobody would want to go play in Winnipeg. It is a small city. It has horrible media that only picks out the bad stories and doesn't focus on anything good about the team. And frankly, it's in the middle of nowhere. I don't want to go play for Winnipeg. That just sounds atrocious.
Well, and those are all really good reasons to, because people don't really realize, they just will sometimes look like, well, if I ever played in the NHL or any professional league, they'd be like, I want to play where the team is good, or they're just looking at just solely the team. But there's a lot of other factors, like even the weather, or do you want to live in Canada? Do you want to live where it's colder more of the time, or
free healthcare?
There you go.
Everyone's got a reason. Or
do you want to live in Florida and play for the Panthers, and not really depending on how good the team is? Some people don't really think about that. But what I think really goes for the Winnipeg Jets is that the Jets just got back in Winnipeg recently.
That was the thing. I remember they just got reestablished there basically just 3 years ago, 4 years ago?
Yeah, I think
it's not been that long.
3 or 4 years ago. And they just recently made it to the playoffs, I think last year or 2 years ago, again for the first time since they were reinstated. And they missed it this year, unfortunately, but you should have seen when they made the playoffs, the fans, no matter what the score was on their feet for almost the entire game, cheering, chanting, no matter what the score was. They were loud. I think they even got swept or only picked up a game.
I'm pretty sure they got swept in the series. I remember this, yeah.
Yeah, they got swept, and at the end, the team saluted their fans, and their fans just let them hear it because they were proud of what they accomplished in just short amount of time. So I think, yes, there is a lot of negatives, but one big thing you have to focus on is the fan base.
That is true.
It is a really good organization in those aspects.
See, now people on Facebook are starting to go a little bit back and forth. Now, Corey says NFL players like to play in Green Bay, but it's not much different than Winnipeg. I mean, right. I definitely get that in the sense that, Green Bay is, the smallest market in the entire NFL. It's only got a little over 100,000 people that live in, the great city of Green Bay. But Green Bay has the history. They have the tradition. It's a destination. People want to go play in a city like Green Bay. I don't feel like, even if Winnipeg isn't a historic franchise, people aren't lining up to go play in Winnipeg. There's nothing to offer. In Green Bay, you've got Milwaukee shortly there close after, and then you've also got Chicago shortly down the road as well from there. So those would be my two big things to say, well, yeah, of course Green Bay is a more attractive market. Plus, you actually win in Green Bay. You're not winning in Winnipeg. If Winnipeg was a Stanley Cup finalist every year, I would say I don't care if there's 3 people in the town or 3 million. I would go play in Winnipeg. That would be my big thing. Of course, if you're David on Facebook, he says his imaginary Canadian girlfriend lives in Winnipeg, so he has a big reason to go there.
Oh, there you go.
So clearly he's also a Winnipeg Jets fan as well as, just a general hockey fan as well.
Yeah, and then just to go off of that, the Winnipeg Jets are struggling to get into the playoffs every year, and depending on what year it is, the Packers generally aren't struggling to get into the playoffs every year. It is the expectation to get there.
Because what if Green Bay was playing at a Cleveland level? People would be like, well, they're in a small market. Of course, that's why they suck, is because no one wants to go to Green Bay, Wisconsin to play football. But it's because Green Bay has set this long-standing tradition of winning. People want to go play. They don't care if it's smaller than a Miami or a L.A. or a Boston. I mean, that doesn't matter as long as the team wins, I think.
Yeah, and taking a look at this list real quick, I was surprised that I'm not surprised that the New York Islanders landed on this list, but I'm not surprised they're a little not first on the list. Yes, you're in New York City, and that's a great town to be in, but the future for the Islanders is not really sure where their stadium is going to be.
Right.
The organization just is not in a great state right now, record-wise.
There's rumors that they might get moved, aren't they?
Yeah, that's one of the big things. They might be moving, so you don't really know what's going on. Also, there's the Arizona Coyotes. Their future isn't 100% right now, even though they just recently had a name change and a big old it didn't really affect the team as much, but there was a lot of paper that switched around, and a lot of things just money trail-wise happened in the organization, and they possibly might be moving, even though the owner did just recently say he doesn't want to leave a couple months ago, but it's in the general area of thinking for that organization. So those are a couple others that have some organizational reasons that it might not be a good place to go to.
Aaron on Facebook says you can't spell Winnipeg without win. I mean, yes,
But
but
they're
at the
not in the
same time, you're not
playoffs.
winning though. Like they missed the playoffs. They're the first team out in the West.
I mean, to be fair, they had a winning record of
They
39-35.
did. I mean, Colorado would have killed for a record like that this season. I mean, when you lose 55 games,
They, I believe, are in the top 10, I think, for the worst records ever in the NHL.
how do
They
you
just-
have a franchise if you suck that badly?
They just want to get these 2 games done and just go home.
I guess so.
They just want to be done.
A couple of people tuning in here on Facebook. Shout outs to Mitch and Trevor as well. David's tuning in. Aaron's saying some hey and hi's there as well. Good to see all of you folks. Don't forget to hit that share button as well as we go along with the broadcast. Love to hear from you folks and keep those comments coming as well. Corey says the Avalanche used to be good back in the day.
They did.
I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
They won
were.
a Stanley Cup in the 2005, 2006, around there. I
Wow,
wanna
okay.
say.
So way
If
back
maybe
in
a
the
little
day.
earlier, but yeah.
Huh. I guess the more you know, as we like to say here, Grant, huh?
Yeah, so it's just kind of sad of where that organization has been, and also you know a team is bad when you look at that, when you look at who you're playing and you see the score and you just say, if we lose to these guys, there's no chance we're going to be
who
going
lost?
deep.
Was it
but-
Chicago or somebody that lost to them recently? I thought there was like a really good
the
team.
Wild.
The Wild, yeah.
The
Somebody
Wild.
they got just train wrecked, didn't they? Buy them, I think. And the Predators lost to them recently too, I think.
But yeah, the Wild is also a different story because the
They're a
Wild
wild
have-
card.
Well, they've been a train wreck as of late.
They have. That is true. Speaking of train wrecks, we know a good train wreck.
Oh yeah,
We do.
That's what we're talking about.
Have you ever said something that you wish you could take back, Grant? Can you
Oh,
think of a
of course.
time?
Of
Can
course.
you give me an example of something you've said that you're like, wait?
Not that I'm going to say to be recorded, but let's just say I said something that it sounded great in my head at the time, but then realizing of who I said it to and the time I said it, it was taken completely the wrong way. And it was the second I said it, I was like, oh, that sounded really bad.
I can think of one example for me, and you're going to laugh at me, but also probably yell at me for bringing this back up when we were watching the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, and then we referenced this on the show that we used to
Hey,
do.
this kind of applies to this.
It does.
too.
It really does apply to this. It's actually, yeah, the parallels are uncanny, honestly. I made the joke that the Patriots only have white receivers on their team, and I said, and I was like, hey, hashtag white power. Like, you know, here's to the white people, here's to the white wide receivers for the New England Patriots. And I said it and completely didn't think about it. And then the messages and the emails we got after the fact, people were like, you can't say that. I was like, but it's true.
Well-
they have white wide receivers that are very good. They have hashtag white power on their team.
Well, you said that. Like literally during the game, and myself and another one of our good friends at the exact same time just looked at you, and one of us had to have hit you like on the shoulder or the head or something.
I'm
'cause we're
pretty
like-
sure somebody did.
We're like, what do you think? Why did you say
You
that?
can't say that, man. Like, come on.
And you were just like, what? What did I say?
I was like, white power. What are you going to do for me? Trevor actually says here fast, he says, love that the NHL brought the Winnipeg Jets back. NFL should take a page out of their book with keeping original franchises. And then David said, hashtag bring back the Portsmouth Spartans. Who are the Portsmouth Spartans?
no
I'm going to have
idea,
to Google the
but
Portsmouth
yeah.
Spartans here. But
I really like that he said that, though, because the NHL is doing, I think, a really good job of being a smaller sports market that's kind of being beat out right now by the NBA and the NFL,
Right.
and especially competing with the NBA, and their seasons pretty much match up exactly where their finals are at the same time. They have not the best broadcasting deal. They have NBC, but NBC might be skipping out on them. So who knows with the NHL, and they are making franchises. They're just adding, they just recently added in Winnipeg, or moved them back to Winnipeg. They're adding a brand new franchise in Las Vegas starting next season. And right now the NFL, everybody's moving. These,
Stinking
like
Vegas.
the Oakland Raiders, they have been a stock NFL franchise that have been around for years. And when they were talking about moving, I'm like, why? That is one of the most iconic NFL franchises, and now they're gone.
things like this make me sad. David answered my question about, I already Googled it, but he'd answered my question. The Detroit Lions used to be the Portsmouth Spartans. I believe Portsmouth was the last really small city outside of Green Bay. Yeah, I did take a look at this. They played for 4 years, from 1930 to 1933. Then they relocated to Detroit to become the Detroit Lions in 1934.
Well, the more you know.
The more you know. Speaking, though, as we mentioned, Grant, earlier, about the train wrecks, about walking comments back. LaVar Ball was quoted recently about saying that the reason that UCLA lost their Sweet 16 was not the fact that his son just got absolutely boat raced for 30-plus points by that gentleman, De'Aaron. It was because because of the white guys on the team were too slow.
The three white guys.
The three white guys. The three white guys, a part of UCLA, TJ Leaf and two of the other gentlemen that are very talented on the team, apparently were the sole reason UCLA lost. Not because Lonzo barely scored any points and gave up 30 points basically to the guy he was supposed to be covering. No. All because of the three white guys that led the team in scoring the entire game. That's the reason UCLA lost.
Yeah, and that came out, I believe, last night or early this morning.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Yeah, and now he's recently, about within the hour,
walking back his comments.
Yes.
He makes me drink. I need to drink when I think of LaVar Ball.
And it, like you said before, could have been one of those things that he said and then was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that, but is it really?
Well, listen to his response. This is what gets me, is his response. And, I mean, just listen. He says, I love Bryce because he's Alfred's son. I don't know who Alfred is, but, I mean, there you go, I guess. Oh, Bryce Alfred. Okay, yeah, I'm sure. Okay, I know who that is. Anyway, he's Alfred's son, and he's always been nice to me. Zoe's friend, always nice. TJ Leaf, great guy. Thomas Welsh, one of the most intelligent players, very nice, respectful. Okay, so he walks that back, says, okay, I didn't mean that. They're really nice guys. No harm, no foul. My bad, guys. You're my favorite three white people I know. No big deal. Basically what he's saying. But what gets me here, and what he really kind of sticks this to Lonzo here, is he says, I blame one person every time they lose. And it's the same person all the time. It's my son. He says he's at the head of the front. Think about that. He's at the head of the front. And I blame him regardless if he had 30 points and 20 assists. It doesn't matter. It's like I've been saying. Like he said, he doesn't make enough plays for his team to win. So if his team loses by 100 or by 1 point, it's always Lonzo's fault.
And I mean, as a father of a player and you want to motivate your son to do better, I mean, that's kind of a common thing that I've seen. Like if you look at Snoop Dogg and his son, who is a wide receiver, Snoop Dogg is one of the most hardest people on his son, but in real life, he's a really chill guy. But there was a lot of documentaries.
Well, I mean, there's a reason why he's so chill, but anyway.
Well, there was a lot of like news specials done on it when his son was actually going to UCLA,
right?
When he declared to go there. So there is kind of that relationship. So I understand what he was saying when he said that it's always his son's fault. But going back to his original comment, I don't think he necessarily didn't mean to say that. I think he knew what he was saying, but it might have caused some backlash at the time.
Do you think Lonzo finally stood up for himself?
He possibly might have, because he's like, maybe like he realized it was going too far. And I read a couple articles today about it, that some people are worried it might be affecting his draft stock. And that's possibly true, or it's just like, hey, Dad, these are my teammates. These are the guys that I've been working my butt off with every single day for multiple months, and then we make it to the Sweet 16, which not a lot of teams get to do.
Right.
And we lose, and I didn't play very well, and you said it was my other players because you said they were white and slow.
The big thing that kills me with all of this, and I don't know if you know this, but LaVar Ball's wife is white. So technically his kids are all half white. Like that's the part that gets me in all this. I would get it if LaVar Ball was as, black as the evening sky. I totally understand that. But like, he's not. I mean, he personally maybe, but his wife is white and his kids are half white and half black. Like, he's basically also semi-insulting his sons and his wife all at the same time by saying, well, white people are slow. Like, okay, well, maybe that's why your son, couldn't guard that guy for letting 30 points in because he's half white, so he's not performing at full speed. I mean, that's just so disrespectful.
Right.
And it really is.
What does it even matter? Like, it doesn't even matter. So you're using something that you're using a skin color that has no, attribute to speed to blaming a loss on.
I know a lot of fast white people, Grant. A lot of fast white people.
I was just trying to think of the fastest person I know, but then I thought of Usain Bolt, and I'm like, that's not going to work. We could go with Michael Phelps.
Michael Phelps is fast if it's a swim race, I guess. That makes sense. Aaron says LaVar is crazy, and then Aaron said maybe that's why Alonso lost the championship then. He's only halfway. Yeah, that makes sense.
But
people always look for a reason. I mean, when ESPN comes out with their 30 for 30 in 10 years, it's going to be like, the time Lonzo was not dark enough. Like, what are you... like, what are you... I mean, that just... Come on, LaVar. Like, you have one job to not completely make a stupid fool of yourself, and here you are saying that you hate white people, basically.
Well, Baxter, I have a question for you. Do you think that this is going to affect Lonzo's career, having his dad, or affect how he gets into the league, and how his dad is pretty much just saying that he deserves all these big like contracts and all these like deals and whatnot, and now making these questionable remarks? Do you think this is going to have any effect whatsoever?
100%. Listen, honestly, if I'm an NBA GM and I'm sitting here writing my draft boards and my team has maybe won 7 games all season, I'm looking at numerous names. I mean, there's Justin Jackson, Josh Jackson, numerous players that I think could come in and make my team better. But the one name that I do not want to even touch with an 80-foot pole is Lonzo Ball, just because of the fact that I don't want to deal with the baggage. I mean, it's one thing if this was Lonzo himself causing the issues, be like, okay, maybe we can work through it, maybe we can figure this out. But this is all based upon the chaos and the stupidity that comes with LaVar Ball being his father. I take huge issue with that. If I'm an NBA GM, I don't care if I have one pick or no pick, and it has to be Lonzo Ball. I say, I'm going to pass. I just won't draft anybody this year because Lonzo Ball, unfortunately...
You wouldn't draft anybody.
If I literally was like, you either don't pick anybody or you have to pick Lonzo Ball, I would say, well, I'm going to take a pass. Well, we'll tank and try this again next year. Like, it's not worth it. The drama is not worth it for me as a NBA GM.
Well, and another good comparison that's currently happening right now, arguably, depending on who you are, is Colin Kaepernick. Some people think he deserves to be a starter, and I've seen a lot of statistics that back that. Maybe not currently, and he did have a chance with San Francisco this year, and yes, San Francisco overall was not a great team. It's not just Colin Kaepernick's fault.
True.
But all the statements that he made in the preseason and all throughout this season, with kneeling for the national anthem, and now people saying that he is allegedly blacklisted currently in the NFL because he can't get a team, because some people say he's been blacklisted purposefully. Some people just think the market just doesn't want to pick him up because they're scared it will hurt their fan base. And as much as you don't want to make it political, you kind of have to look that he offended a lot of people in more red states. And if your team is in a red state, it might affect your fan base more, and you might lose popularity with your team. So if you are a GM of any professional team, you need to be they're most likely aware of what their fan base is. And if you're looking to bring in a player who's makes these controversial statements, do you really want to pick them up?
That's the big thing, and for me, the answer is no to that. I would walk away, even if my team literally had one pick and it was between the best player but also carried a ton of baggage or no player, I would say I'm going to just figure out what I've got with the players I have, personally.
Let me ask you this question.
Please do.
You need a quarterback. There's only 2 remaining.
Okay.
Do you take Mr. Johnny Manziel or do you take Colin Kaepernick?
I mean, I knew you were going to go that way. I thought maybe you were going to throw Tebow in there for fun as well.
Because Manziel has a lot of questionable things. Tim Tebow, he's not on the Mets farm system anymore. He wants to come back to football.
Why not? Because Tim can't make up his damn mind. You know what? This is the thing. I mean, I'm gonna pick Tebow because I know he's not the greatest quarterback, but I know he's a smart guy. He's gonna run the offense and he's gonna make the short passes. So maybe we're not throwing the ball for 45 times a day, but I still think I take Tim Tebow because he can run and pass the ball. Yes, Colin Kaepernick is a more athletic player, but the baggage doesn't come along with that. I don't want to deal with a potential American-hating quarterback. I would rather deal with a Christian or somebody else that the media likes to label Tim Tebow as, a general nice guy. Tim Tebow is going to draw a lot of eyes to my franchise in a positive way.
Well, it is negative in some aspects because, there are some people out there that are like, he's just a good old Bible thumper. Nobody wants that guy on our team.
Thump. David has a solution for us.
Oh, okay.
Easy fix. Colin Kaepernick to the Winnipeg Jets.
There you go. Perfect.
Problem solved.
Perfect.
I like it.
He grew up in Wisconsin, so he probably has skated a couple times.
I bet he has, yeah. I mean, that's always the best thing. I mean, you grew up in those northern states. I mean, that makes total sense. Screw the New York Jets. They go to Winnipeg. I could see him showing up and be like, I heard the Jets signed me. And be like, oh, Winnipeg, not the New York Jets.
Oh, my bad.
This is awkward. How do you feel about goalie? He's too tall
You're the cheerleader.
You're the cheerleader. Woo! You're the puck patrol or whatever it's called.
He sits in the penalty box and gives guys a pat on the back and some tissue.
I don't know if he could fit his afro inside of a hockey helmet.
That afro is gross.
That man needs to cut that hair.
It's
cut
terrible.
The fro. Hashtag cut the fro.
Terrible. He is a disgrace to Wisconsin. I'm just going to point that out. And even as it was a while ago. It was way in the beginning of the season, but his mom called him out on Twitter for doing that. Or maybe it was Facebook. It was on social media. It was a public thing, calling him out saying that you need to respect your country and that you are a disgrace. I'm like, I would be terrified if I was called out by one of my parents on social media for disgracing my country. I mean, that's just
for
me.
real. Like, that's, you've done bad when mama calls you out on social media.
Well, like, for the world to see, like, I would, like, for anything, like, you said you were going to wash the dishes last night, and you didn't, and that's all over the social media, I'd be scared.
Yeah, your mom was going to walk in your house and be like, look, Grant didn't wash the dishes. My son, no son of mine is going to leave these dishes on the counter. I raised you better than that, Grant Coppersmith. I don't know why your mom's black, but she is.
Yeah, I was like, my mom is white.
That explains a lot. I don't know. Could have been more of like a Wisconsin, like, Grant, you got to be washing the dishes, dear.
Oh, you got all these dishes over here.
You're leaving them on the counter, dear. We raised you to be so much better than this.
So much better.
So much.
Don't
all right.
you know?
And so, Grant, we got to bring this thing to a wrap, unfortunately. I feel like our Friday shows just go way too fast.
Honestly,
that's the honest truth about it, though.
Like, we always got all these good stuff to talk about. It happened last week, too.
Sports!
We're going to talk about this,
So much
and this.
sports.
And then we're like, oh, we have all these great things to talk about.
I know, but I mean, it's also been great, too, because the comments have been amazing, and the people watching and sharing, too, have been phenomenal
you,
as well, too.
Thank you.
Aaron, David, Mitch, you guys are still tuning in as well, too, among a bunch of the rest of you giving your comments. That's really what drives the conversation, guys, and we appreciate that. I mean, we all stepped outside of our comfort zone today. Grant hosted while I walked away and got us a beer.
Yeah, that was scary.
I've been drinking a beer that I particularly may or may not ever talk to again, but I mean, I've been drinking it because America and it's National Beer Day, and God forbid, I don't want to, segregate any beers, light, dark, pale, or IPA.
I mean, even if they're a little slow.
If they're a little slow. No, this is a dark beer. It's a fast beer, so I feel good. I feel very confident about the speed of my beer.
Is it hitting you fast? Is that that's a big question.
I mean, that's why we need to get off the air, because I gotta. The room's been spinning for the last 25 minutes. I've almost called you about 12 different names, but I think I know who you are, Steve, so thanks so much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
It's been a lot of fun. But no, that man to my left is Grant Coppersmith. This has been Happy Hour. It's always a blast. We love it when you guys jump on and join us as well, too. Your weekend is certainly going to be filled with the Masters. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, yes.
For those of you that love the old game of golf, go put on the green jacket, smoke a cigar, and hit the back links if you got some time.
Just want to make a quick thing. Like, even if you don't like golf, and I'm not really a big fan of golf, but I love watching the Masters. They've found a way to make golf exciting.
It's true.
Even for that one
Jim
event.
Nantz, that's why it's exciting.
Talking this loud?
Yes. The Masters.
Here on hole 5, par 3.
Yeah, watch out for the wind. Oh, my. All right.
I always just think of that commercial where that Cyclops comes out of the water.
And a monster has come out of the water. Ooh, that could affect his backswing. Yeah, we'll have to see. Oh, my gosh. Well, Grant, it's always a pleasure. You guys are the best. Make sure to find the website, brewsportsnet.com. As always, find us on the social media universe, at BrewSportsNet on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that jazz. Invite your friends, hit the share button, and all that. Brew Sports. Woo-hoo-hoo. Anyway,
Need to make that parody.
We really do. Grant and I are big musical guys, so one of these days we'll just do a musical number to open up the Friday show. I feel like we'll take you through a tour of the studio, and then we'll come onto the set, and it'll just be fireworks and dancing girls, and just. Anyway, he's Grant. I'm Baxter. Thanks for watching. You guys are the best. Next up on Brew Sports is Double Dribble with Mitch and Jimmy at 5 Central, 6 Eastern. Watch it, tweet it, beep it if you want to beat it. Kim Possible. We'll see you guys next time. This has been Happy Hour.